Good morning, friends. I'm Kim, and you're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free, stay free, and never have to dance with the devil again. In this video, we are going to explore the narcissist's primary fear, primary all-consuming obsessive-compulsive fear of abandonment, and how this truly impacts them and how that pours out on victims. Now, the narcissist's abandonment fear being out in the forefront really is a result of them feeling unlovable. Now, the reason they feel unlovable is because they themselves cannot feel love. They don't understand and cannot normally, healthily feel and experience love that you are expressing towards them. So that whole love thing is got all this noise going on in their head. They don't know what's going on. And inevitably, abandonment always takes the forefront. It is the absolute core of all their motivations, their hidden agenda, the covert behavior. It is always going to be the core of that. This lovelessness really does cause the narcissist at the core of their thought process, which is already very scrambled and twisted. They believe that everything is temporary as far as relationships go. They have no sense of permanency. They have no ability to commit and go long term. Now, in Trevor's case, when we started to kind of talk about his exes, first of all, he was brutalizing them verbally. And when I'd ask, how long were you with her? 2 years, 4 years, 3 years? You know, he was kind of maxed out at that 4-year thing. So the fact that him and I had made it 5 years was really quite unusual for him. Now, if you've been with your narcissist 10, 20, 30 years, and I see that a lot, what's happened there is you've gone through the 4-step cycle. You didn't leave, and you just became the next victim, and the next victim, and the next victim. The whole idea of that 4-step stage and then starting again, I mean, even if they didn't move on to a new victim, you just became the next victim. Now, the BPD and the NPDs have absolutely no capacity to understand this long-term relationship concept or commitment because they've never experienced it. Now, in my case, the love I was expressing towards Trevor was very real. My commitment, my long-term commitment, not just to be with him, but to help him get beyond whatever the fuck was ailing him, because my God, he was ailed, and you know, it was all very real. My dedication to him, my loyalty to him, my honesty, my faithfulness, all of that was very real. But he absolutely had a wall up to it. It couldn't penetrate beyond that wall where it could have potentially become real to him. Absolutely impenetrable, like bulletproof with love and compassion and loyalty. It just absolutely, they have no capacity to understand it because no matter how much you're pouring on them, how much you're sending towards them, they simply can't experience it. Now, there's a reason why victims, survivors, and empaths really struggle to figure this shit out, because this is absolute, total, and complete mindfuckery from beginning to end. Now, the narcissist, being a habitual, compulsive, pathological liar, is lying to you steadily, but within those lies and all that deceit, there is also a real, genuine level of honesty. For example, when the narcissist says to you, you don't love, you don't know how to love, you can't love anyone, what they're doing is confessing. They're actually telling you with a tremendous amount of honesty. They just had to twist it and fuck it up a bit and make it deceitful and point it at you, but it truly is a confession. They're telling you, I don't know how to love, I don't know how to love anyone, and I don't love you, when they say you're cheating. They're confessing when, they're telling you you can't be trusted. And we've all heard that. You can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. I can't trust you as far as I can throw you. Well, as it turns out, I'm half of Trevor's size, and he's fairly strong, powered by his insanity mostly, and probably could have thrown me quite a great distance and had in fact done that many times. So the reality is, on one hand, they're lying because they're saying it's you, but on the other hand, if you figure out this pattern, they're actually being extremely honest. Now, the thing is, when they're lying and saying it's you, they believe that. They truly, truly believe that. But you can find a lot of peace and a lot of knowledge in knowing that these are confessions. They may believe it's you, but they are confessions. I know. How weird is that? Now, the fact that the abandonment issue is absolutely front and center in their life, absolutely all-consuming, obsessive-compulsive thoughts about this, and this starts very early in the idealization stage. Well, you're just falling madly in love with them, though covertly, through deception. Nonetheless, you are madly in love with them, probably seeing red flags, willing to work with them on this, trying to find resolution. All they're thinking is, abandonment, she's going to leave me. So that is what the devaluation is. It's a test. It's an absolute test to see how much shit, abuse, cruelty, horrendous behavior you will withstand. And the more you try to prove that you love them, the more you try to empathize with them, the more shit that you suck up, the more they're going to dump, because unlike a normal test where there's a beginning and an end and you're graded on that, this test never ends. The more shit you take just means now I got to see if they'll take more shit and more shit and more shit, and it just never ends until many of them are beating their partners, murdering their partners. I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. They just up it and up it and up it and up it until you absolutely are, well, we all know how we end up. Now, it is a very legitimate question to ask, why would Captain Malignant Motherfucker do this? I mean, well, they can't stop theirself is one. Truly, in their twisted minds of noise and chatter, they can't turn it off. They do not believe for 1 second that there's any permanency to the relationship. They're morbidly in fear of abandonment. They don't believe you love them. They don't believe you're going to stay with them. So they just keep abusing you and abusing you and abusing you, and you suck it up, and that's not enough, and they need to abuse you more. They're going to constantly play this one-up game, never understanding that when you abuse your partner, it is ultimately going to lead to this abandonment that they so desperately fear. Now, since they believe it's coming, it's constantly plaguing them. It's constantly this morbid fear for them. So rather than living with that morbid fear, they just charge right ahead. Hey, it's coming, so let's get to it. And they force this abandonment on themselves. Honestly, I know this sounds nuts, and you'd wonder why someone would do it, why they couldn't see it, why all the crying, the pleading, the screaming, the begging, why it couldn't penetrate their fucked up minds. It can't, and it never will. And sadly, therapy has had no impact on them, and they just get worse and worse with age. So, if you're still with your narc, leaving is always going to be your best bet. If you are with them, don't get sucked back into that horrible looping cycle again. You've got to go no contact. You really do. Though we are all forced, absolutely forced, almost as if they've got a gun to our heads, forced to leave them. And certainly it was against my will. I really felt very committed to Trevor. I knew he was gravely ill, and I was absolutely willing to try and help him get to a better, safer, saner place. But once you've committed now and realize, hey, this is a dead-end road, and now you've become committed to your exit strategy, this starts proving everything to them. This just opens up this floodgates of, I knew you didn't love me. I knew I couldn't trust you. I knew you had a hidden agenda. I mean, and all this shit starts becoming very real to them. Now, they've lost you. They know they've lost you. And the next step, of course, is going to be the smear campaign. They need to justify that. They need to say out loud over and over and over again to anyone who will listen how horrible you were, how rotten you were. Again, what they're trying to do here is convince theirself that the loss is not going to be that great. Now, I know Trevor did not want to lose me. I know that. But Trevor is an absolute slave to his own insanity, and he simply can't stop himself. And he was just going to go and go and go until I was gone and gone for good. And then, of course, launch a smear campaign. I'm sure his new flying monkey victim has got ringing in her ears from hearing my name and hearing how horrible I was. And this is just, you know, part of him trying to process his horrendous loss. And I'm sure to this day in his mind, he does not believe this is final. Well, he's in for a surprise. Now, the absolute true insanity in this, in conclusion, is the fact that they were planning the end at the beginning. This was inevitable. You were on a runaway train and there was no getting off, and the train was just going to crash and burn, and that was it. And, you know, as we all know, very hard to jump off that speeding runaway train. But in the end, guys, there's nothing more you could have done. You loved your narc to the absolute best of your ability, and you were up against a brick wall right from day one, as tragic as that is. Guys, I'm Kim. This is Kim Wilson TV. Please subscribe if you feel like it. Leave a message. I love reading your messages. Peace be with you all. Happy day, guys.